Hey there, welcome to the latest episode of Hiker Homily. This week we're going to kind of talk about my personal opinion. Again, I'm not claiming to be like the most greatest expert ever in backpacking and stuff like that, but the things that have worked for me and for a lot of other hikers that I know. The top 5, you got to have them, must have it dialed in just right. 5 things to make your backpacking experience successful, which means, as far as I'm concerned, that means not necessarily that you got to the exact place you were hoping to get to and things like that, but that you had a good time. That is success as far as I'm concerned for backpacking trips or even just regular hiking trips, and we'll kind of do another video on that probably. But for backpacking, the 5 things that I think you need to have completely dialed in, they have to be right and appropriate. We're going to talk about those things. First, you have to have solid, well-researched, and appropriate planning. So planning is a big one, and that's always, and you've seen me do several videos that say planning. It's part of the leave no trace principles. It's always been part of my thing, the whole be prepared thing, the whole plan and prep, that kind of thing. Even if it wasn't leave no trace, it just makes 100% sense that you have things properly planned out. Now, as you've seen in some of my other videos, again, that does not mean that you're part of some rigid thing that you must do step A, then B, then C, and all the way down the row until the trip is over. That's not necessarily what it means. What it does mean, especially when I use the word appropriate, is you know basically where you're going. You've kind of researched the area enough to know if you're going to need to carry a bunch of water or if there are water sources there. You've kind of done all the checking, and the big thing I mean by appropriate is it is an appropriate hike for you to enjoy it. I really like backpacking, but I know that I am not ready to mount the Grand Tetons or head out to the Himalayas and just do all of that. My body is not in that kind of shape. I would not be able to handle that kind of a hike. So getting to that one without any planning or even doing planning for it should tell me in my brain, this is not appropriate. I need an appropriate trip that I am going to actually enjoy and be able to do appropriate planning. Okay, so you look at some of the other videos I've done on pre-prep and on prep and things like that, how to prepare for a backpack trip and things like that. There's some good information out there aside from just my videos. Do that. Do some research on how to do some research is basically what I'm saying. But that is a solid thing. You are not going to enjoy your trip if you just wing it out there and try to do things that your body is not ready to do, or you're not sure where you're at and you're going to get lost and things like that. Now, I am not bagging on the people who have a certain area that they've been to time and time again, and so they just, man, I just got to get out there. I need some peace out there. I want to do a little quick trip, and they just grab their gear and they head out to this place because they know it really well. Not bagging on you. I do that myself. I especially did that myself a lot when I was younger. There's a certain place in the Sierras I know like the back of my hand. I always take certain precautions with me, first aid kits, blah, 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 things like that. But I pretty much can go out there without a map and using the lay of the land. I know exactly where I'm at because I've been there so many times. I know that going this way will get me to this trail. I know this does this. This is where the streams are and all that kind of thing. So I'm not going to do as much prep for that or things like that. And I know, the inclines, what I'm getting into, I know it's appropriate for me, things like that. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about if you decide, I want to go backpacking. Well, I've never been here before. That sounds really interesting. All right, I'm just going to grab my bag and go. That's probably not the best idea. So appropriate preparation. Number 2, you have proper and field tested footwear. I tell you what, some of the most common things I've seen other hikers say why they didn't like the hike was, my feet are killing me. God, it was beautiful out there. I kind of liked it, but my feet are just killing me, and I could not enjoy the hike once they started to hurt and things like that. Okay, one of the solid ways to prevent that, number one, is practice. Get up on your feet, get your feet used to walking and things like that. But no matter how used to walking you are, if you are not in the right footwear, the gear on your feet is not correct, you are going to have some pain. You're going to get blisters, things like that, and next thing you know, you're not enjoying yourself anymore. It's not a successful trip. Yes, I got to such and such, and I got to this, but man, all I am thinking about is how much my feet hurt on that trip. It sucked. Okay, you don't want to end up like that. Don't do that. So, and like I say, properly field tested. You don't just go out and, oh, the reviews are great and everybody says these shoes are amazing. So you buy that pair of shoes, you put them on kind of one time. Yeah, they seem to feel great in the store. Oh, I'm walking, yeah, they're comfortable. Then you put them in your closet, and 2 weeks later you go on your trip, and that's the second or maybe only the third time you've put them on your feet when you're going to do whatever many miles that day, hiking and stuff like that. Don't do that. Buy your shoes ahead of time if you can, and get them broken in. Wear them, because every shoe, no matter how good they are, is going to have that period of, oh, my foot's not really used to this, so it's kind of either rubbing here, or I got to get used to the arch. Maybe I need arch support, maybe I don't. Let's see. Break them in over a certain amount of time, okay, before you do that trip. So appropriate footwear that is, broken in. Next, the other thing that I see a lot of hikers talk about is, it was beautiful out there and it was really neat hiking, but man, when the nighttime came, I just could not get comfortable. I was awake most of the night. I couldn't sleep, and it just ruined things for me. My trip sucked because I ended up on a 2-night backpack trip where it was 2 nights of no sleep. I was exhausted, things like that. Okay. Sometimes that's just a matter of some people are nervous sleeping in the backcountry. That's going to be a mindset you're going to have to deal with. But most of the time, the biggest way to deal with the no sleep at night is to make sure you have an appropriate sleep system. And just like with appropriate footwear, make sure you have tested it before you go out there. Okay? And this goes back to, it's part of the planning. What time of the year are you going to this place? Okay, what kind of temperatures does this place have that time of the year? Well, I'm going to the desert, so it should be warm. Okay, but the desert in certain months is below freezing at night. Okay, so yeah, you might be okay in the daytime because you're looking at 50, 60 degree weather. That's not bad to hike in at all. But at night when it's 25 degrees and you have a bag rated for 40, you're in trouble. Health-wise, you're in trouble, let alone not just getting sleep and being uncomfortable. So again, the solid planning and appropriate planning, it's going to go into your sleep system. Make sure you have the right kind of pad that works for you. Test it first. Make sure you know how to set it up. Make sure it feels good, the different ways that you sleep. There are different ways you can do that, everything from sleeping in your own backyard or on the floor of your living room to taking it on a couple of short little trips. Even take it on a day hike and then set it up while you're on a day hike when you're eating lunch and just, kind of recline on it at lunchtime. See how it feels. Does it work for you? Is it doesn't have good enough support? Does it have too much? That kind of thing. Test these things before you get on your trip, and then have the appropriate sleepwear, either a quilt or a sleeping bag, that's going to take care of you for whatever temperatures the area you're in is going to get at night, so that you are comfortable. When you're comfortable, you're going to sleep. When you sleep, you're not exhausted, you're not tired, you're going to enjoy your trip. All right, so that's number 3. Number 4, the appropriate food. I see a lot of people, and I've done a little bit for the sake of content of this channel and things like that. You're going to experiment with food. Okay, that sounds good. I've never tried it before. I'm going to give it a shot. Now, I will do that sometimes because I want to see how good it is, and I'm an avid backpacker. I go out a decent amount of time, so it's not really that big of a deal. But if you are just trying to go either with friends or by yourself and just trying to enjoy the trip, it's not the time to experiment with things. Well, I've never cold soaked before, so I'm going to try that. Okay, that's not good, because what if you don't like cold soaked food? What if you just can't get past the fact that it's ramen noodles but they're not heated up, or oatmeal that isn't heated, it's cold and you're eating it? that is really quick on sapping the morale. And if you decide you just can't eat it, that's going to sap your strength as well, because you're not fueling your body. Your body's going to need those calories, because you're going to be burning them when you're hiking and things like that. And if you don't get them, it's sapping your strength. That could be a dangerous situation in the worst case, but in the very least case, it's going to affect how you enjoy your trip. You're not liking the meals. You're forcing yourself to eat them, because they're just not something you really decided you liked. But that's all you brought because you decided, well, I've heard so-and-so backpacker does this, or this and that hiker has said this on YouTube and things like that. So once again, what am I going to say? I bet you know already. Try before, okay? If you think you want to try cold soaking, then for like 2 or 3 days at home, instead of the usual lunch you make for yourself, make it something you would have on the trail, or even for a dinner or something like that, or even for a lunch. What would you have for dinner on the trail? Well, I'd probably do if I'm going to cold soak, just couscous soaked with a little bit of blah blah blah. Okay, have that for lunch a couple of days. See what you think. Am I going to be able to do this for 3 or 4 days in the wilderness? Or that's not going to work. Do I need to invest in a little stove to heat my food up? Or do I just not like couscous? Some people don't like the texture of that. I have a daughter who's not into the texture of couscous. So hot or cold, wouldn't eat it. Would not work for them as a backpacking meal. Maybe for you too. So try these things first. And make sure that the food you bring is appropriate, that you're going to enjoy it. Okay, it should be something like a reward at the end of the day. I hiked this far, I did this, oh, that was a beautiful view from such and such peak. That was amazing. Ah, now I get to enjoy such and such meal that I have either bought or put together, or this and that. And so, oh, this is, whoo, all right, that hits the spot. Type of as much as you can, okay? Don't expect gourmet food when you're backpacking, but it doesn't have to be like gruel either that you have to choke down. Have the appropriate stuff. Finally, the proper mental attitude. That's number 5. And by that I mean you have to try to stick to certain things, but in other ways you have to be flexible. Okay? I did my best planning my trip. I really wanted to get to such and such spot, but you know what? My body's just not cooperating. I've got this and I've got that, but this is really nice out here, so I'm just going to stop here. This is an established little camp area. It's nice here. I'm going to camp here. And gosh dang it, it's still fun. I'm still having a good time. And then tomorrow I can get to such and such. Or maybe it's time for me to pack out. Then I still got here and had a good time. Be open to things like that. I know this last summer I had a little bit of that. I had made kind of a grandiose plan. I wanted to do this. And then by the time I got up there, I realized that was not an appropriate plan for my body. My body, my knees, they were not ready to do 5 days at, 15 miles a day and things like that. A lot of thru hikers are out there. 15, I do 20s, 30s. That's cool. There's a lot of hikers out there that can out hike me. I'm not going to deny it. That's why you make plans that are appropriate for you, not what everybody else is doing. And so what was appropriate for me was, you know what, I'm going to go out for 2 nights and I'm going to enjoy this area of the Sierras that I know really well. I'm comfortable there. It's a beautiful area. And my mental frame of mind was not, I have been defeated. I didn't make this plan. No, I reorganized my plan and was still able to get a backpack trip in that I came home from with enjoyment. I enjoyed it. It was fun. I really liked it. Learned a few things about the knees and the twinges and here and there, how that's going to do things. But other than that, had a good trip. I enjoyed it. That's a successful trip. Yes? Would it have been a successful trip if I had made it all the way to my original goal? But when I got there at the end, my body was tore up and I was in misery and had to recover at home. And that's not a successful trip. Yes, I got from point A to point B, which was the plan, but in my mind, I'm saying it all sucked though. I couldn't enjoy the beauty because I was too busy worried about this knee pain or if I can even get this next mile because the pain is getting too bad and this is happening and the streams are dry and all that kind of stuff. That's not a successful trip, not in my book anyway. Okay? So positive mental attitude and the ability to remain flexible so that you have fun, because that needs to be the key. Power to you if you're hiking because you just want to get miles or you're bagging peaks and afterwards you have to recover, and you didn't even notice what the view looked like from the peak because you were busy writing it down, a little check mark on your list. Hey, you know what? If that's how you do things, okay, that's you. That's great. But really, in my book, a successful trip is one that you had fun on. You enjoyed it. Not necessarily that you hit all the little check marks of places you wanted to see, but that the places you did get to were things that you really enjoyed. You liked them. They were awesome. That's a successful trip. So, any comments, questions, if you have any experience with that kind of thing, do you agree, disagree? Is it all about the peak bagging? Is it all about the miles? Or is enjoyment really the main thing that you do it for? Let me know. As usual, you can get a hold of me at hikingforhealthca@gmail.com, or go ahead and leave comments down below and anywhere else I post this on social media. And other than that, as always, I thank you so much for paying attention to this goofy little channel, and I'll catch you next time.